All right, how is everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA, and thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA Show. So I did a podcast in the past on the law of attraction, and it seemed to get some traction. Um, so I want to get into something else regarding that today because I've studied that for so long. Many different things regarding the laws of attraction. And in the previous podcast, what I talk about a lot of times that you can't sit around and wait for things. I know a lot of it is obviously believing in yourself and believing that things are going to come to you, basically that you're a magnet, right? And I'm here to tell you there's a big difference between believing in the law of attraction, I think, as far as sitting around and waiting for things to come your way. I think that's kind of ridiculous. It's almost dreamy. But you do, I believe, have to put yourself in a frame of mind that you believe you deserve these things. But you also have to put yourself at the right place at the right time to receive these things, obviously. But I don't think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people watch The Secret, read The Secret, watch many different things regarding the law of attraction and just kind of sit around and think that if I believe this or if I continuously keep praying for this, it will eventually come my way. And I'm here to tell you most likely it's not. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think you have to realize it's all about taking action. And they talk about taking action, but it's not just about taking small action. It's about engulfing yourself in it. I don't care if you're a star athlete, a CEO of a company. I don't care if you even are a garbage man, hypothetically. To get things done, you have to take action constantly. I said you have to attack when you want the law of attraction, not sit around and wait. So if you really want something or you want to get something accomplished, you have to attack it. And the more you attack it, the more things start to come to you. It's not sitting around thinking they're just naturally going to come to you. Now, I know you've heard stories, and I have too, people winning the lottery, and I talked about that before, where they believed in the law of attraction, they went and played the lottery, and they willed it, or they may have won it more than once, whatever the case may be. The truth is, they took action, they had to buy the lottery ticket. And they just believed they would win anyways, or they wouldn't be playing. So I don't play lottery, or I don't play lotto, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to win, right? I don't care how much I sit here and pray for it to happen. Most likely, someone's not going to go buy me a ticket, unless maybe it's a Christmas birthday gift or something. But put that aside, I'm not going to probably win lotto because I'm not paying my money and I don't play it. But what I really want to get into with this podcast is your brain. And I think that, and I did a story or a podcast recently on me never getting sick, or how I cure myself when I injure myself. And you've got to realize everything that you believe in or that you want to achieve in, you first mentally have to obviously believe it can happen to you. And also you have to stop all the noise from stopping you from getting what you want to achieve, I believe. So let's just even think about, let me get into prayer and things very quickly. So a lot of times people request your prayers, which is wonderful, and you're sending out good vibes to them, which regardless of what religion you're in, or if you're even not religious, I think for the most part, we want to do good for others and we want good to happen to others. And I think that's us kind of spreading that out there. So when you are praying or doing things in that nature, let's say, sending out good vibes, whatever the case may be, you really start to believe that you want something positive to happen to that person. And I think when it sometimes comes to us, we secretively say, hey, I want things to start happening for me, but we really don't believe we deserve them. We don't. Even though we may be like, I think I deserve this, or I think I deserve that. Sometimes we think we're being selfish, I think. Other times we may even be thinking things like, I'm not smart enough, I'm scared. And I think when it comes to wanting things, because I always had this fear as well. I never wanted to pray for things that I wanted. I felt selfish. But I always wanted to pray for others, to help them if they're ill, or help them with whatever they need at the point in time, or just pray for people in general. And I felt good doing that, but I kind of felt bad praying for myself, which makes no sense if you really think about it. And back to prayer and the law of attraction, if you think about it again, if you're wanting these things, you want to attract these things in your life, it's like you're continuously, kind of to a certain degree, sending out prayers for yourself, right? You're praying for yourself. And again, there's a big difference you got to realize, I think, in praying for somebody that, say someone, on social media or emails or texts you and says, hey, can you pray for this person? Or you know of somebody that in your family is going through certain things and you pray for them. Wonderful. And then when it maybe even comes to you, you're going to pray for general things like, I need more. I would like to have more money. I want to pray that for my children, or all these other things. You again, with prayer, need to take action. So if you do know hypothetically somebody's sick that needs your prayers, not just imagining them being healthier or someone helping them, you step in and you actually start to help these people. Now, if you don't know them, I get that, or you're praying for another country or another situation that you have no, I guess you could say, no way of helping them. But if you do, again, have a family member, friend, colleague that needs your prayers, you need, I think, to not only talk to them, you need to get around them. Because I believe for anyone to get healthier, or anyone that really needs your help needs more than you just sitting there and closing your eyes and kind of, I don't want to say it's a dream, but praying or fantasizing that it's going to get better for them, because I think that's fine and that's wonderful. But you taking action and showing them that you do care about them in a much higher level, or doing things for them physically that they may need help done, or even emotionally, just talking to them on the phone, putting a little more effort into it than just praying. And that goes for yourself as well. I could sit here and pray all day that I get this or that, or whatever I'm praying for. I have to, again, take action. I got to back the prayer. And I don't think a lot of people do that. And I talked about that with being sick. So here's kind of an idea of what I'm talking about. So I did a thing where I very seldom ever get sick. I did a podcast. And when people, I always realize, program their minds certain ways. So they get around somebody sick, and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm going to get sick. And guess what happens? They get sick. Now, I'm not saying you can't get sick from other people. That's ridiculous. But that very seldom ever happens to me. I don't know if I have a stronger immune system, but I'm going to tell you something I always did. And I'm around a lot of sick people because I take so many flights. And I travel to so many different places. And a lot of them are Canada, where it's freezing. And as you know, a lot of times we're in positions we can't escape sick people. It could be on an airplane, at an airport, in a restaurant. It could be anywhere. It could be a family member in the house. But when I get around somebody sick, I think quite the opposite. I think I'm going to get them healthier. I don't think they have the power to get me sick. Why would I give them that power? I don't understand that. Now, like I said, a lot of times people do get sick off other people. But I think we've programmed our brains, it could be either from our parents, our elders, whoever, to say, oh my God, this person came at the party is sick, or you know what, oh, they get a cold. I always get a cold when I get, this always happens when I'm around this type of person who's sick, or this is going to happen, or I went to a hospital. Every time I go to the hospital, this happens, or whatever the case may be. I really think you need to program yourself, if you want a healthy life, to believe wherever you go, you are healthy and you're bringing upon more health. You're not bringing more sickness. Did you ever, I don't know if you've ever worked out, and I feel this sometimes, and it's my brain, and I can catch it doing crazy shit, and it really aggravates me. So if I'm working out a lot of times, and I feel really strong that day, and say I do something for 10 to 12 reps, all of a sudden I'll feel a lot stronger, and I'll hit 9, 10, and I'll be like, oh my God, man, I feel strong today. I normally only do 12. My mind will immediately go, no, this is heavier than you think. And then 11, all of a sudden I'll be struggling. And then I got to quit at 12. I'm like, you know what? That's my brain telling me that I'm weak. I'm getting weaker. I should be actually have said, which I program myself now, at 10, Rich, you can easily do 15. And it's shocking if you flip that on your mind and say, you know what? Why do I always stop at 12? Because my mind told me to stop at 12. And I see people do that too with even at work or anything you're doing. Their brain again has been programmed to say, you know what, you're not hungry, right? Then you may ask, what time is it? And someone's like, oh, it's noon. You're like, oh my goodness, it's noon, it's lunch. Man, I'm hungry. All of a sudden your mind will just immediately say you're hungry. When the reality is it wasn't hungry. But you have programmed, again, your brain to believe all these things that may or may not be true. And here's the thing again regarding the law of attraction. There really are no rules except the rules you make for yourself. And you're kind of following, I guess you could say to a certain degree, everything you've read and everything you've watched as far as what you think works for other people. You need to figure out in your brain what works for you regarding this. It's not following what somebody else has done and that has worked or not worked for them, if that makes sense. Because we all live independent lives, right? No one lives the same life. I always talk about that. Nobody eats the same meals every day. No one takes the exact amount of rest or has the amount of rest. No one has the same job for the most part. Works the exact same amount of hours. Has the same kids. Has the same husband, wife, girlfriend, whatever, partner. No one. So when you are studying or learning about the law of attraction, right, you've got to figure out what works for you. And, they've done those studies on those guys that have, this is what's very interesting, I find, to a certain degree, and it's not brainwashing or anything. But you have these guys on the internet, I've seen a bunch of them that says, okay, they decided at this point in time to be a stockbroker. In the law of attraction, right? So they engulf themselves in it, which I find quite interesting that they believe they start dressing like a stockbroker. All they do is start watching videos, reading about being a stockbroker, all these things, and they mentally start to turn into a stockbroker. Now, here's the thing. There's a difference between becoming something or looking like it and believing in it, which is fine, but are you succeeding at it? If that kind of makes sense. You need to decide I have to, one, succeed in whatever I'm going into, I believe, and you can handle whatever you're going after. There's a difference between putting on, I call it a costume, where I dress like this person, I now talk like this person, I act like this person. But are you really around the people that are succeeding in whatever you're going after? Because we can all sit around and you can be anything you want. I'm not saying, I don't necessarily believe you could be an animal or anything crazy like that, but what I'm saying is you can kind of convince yourself that you could be, I can walk around and say I'm a professional athlete, but nobody's sending me a check, if that makes sense. So yeah, I can work out and I could do all these things and I could be fast and I could be really skilled, but the truth is, am I really a professional athlete just because I say I'm one or I'm going to be one? Probably not. Saying you're going to be one with actually knowing you can be one it's just, think about it, right? I'm going on 50 years old. Most likely I am not going to be a professional athlete, let's hypothetically say, in the NFL. Even though my dream was, say, to be a middle linebacker. Now, I can walk around and kind of believe I am, but there's nothing I believe to a certain degree to believe that you could be these things, but I think some people need to understand that they can parlay their life into something else. So I can't become a professional football player, but I could become a coach. But here's the thing, that's going to take a lot of time and effort, and the truth is, I really, I guess you could say, for me to believe that, have to go after that and stop thinking I'm owed that or it's going to just come my way or those type of things. And people need to stop being dumb. And I'd hate to say that because a lot of people are a lot more intelligent than they think they are. And I call it playing dumb. And you have to understand, to really, I believe, succeed in whatever you want to succeed in, you have to start learning about what you really want to get out of your life and learn what you want to do. Not thinking anybody either owes it to you or it's just going to fall out of the sky. Back to being a stockbroker again. I don't care how much you read about it and how much you watch videos about it. I don't care how much you talk about it again. What is the backbone to being a good stockbroker is obviously money. I'll just use for an example, is making money. So the one component they're missing, I see in a lot of people, is the end result, if that kind of makes sense. A lot of us have jobs where we're getting a paycheck for long periods of time, and we do want to break out of that and do whatever we want to do independently, but we can't seem to do that. And again, back to our brains, why can't we do that? And I struggle with this as well because I'm always trying different creations. And I call it finding your why. But it's just not about the why. It's really backing yourself against the wall saying, what is my end result? Like, if I really want a certain type of home, car, or whatever, And I just can't seem to get it. Now, if you're living in a mindset where you want to be a multi-millionaire, right? Or if you want to be a billionaire and all these things, you really have to start putting things into action. But you can't sit around and bullshit yourself and keep thinking just because you keep reading quotes or you keep saying things in your mind over and over again. I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, and this is going to happen, and if this happens, this is going to happen, and this is if I do this, that, and as you know, most likely you never succeed. Why is that? Now, I think it's sometimes what I think happens in our life is we take on too much. I talk about this like in a New Year's resolution thing in life, where we're trying to either learn all these different things. I call our brains like becoming scrambled eggs, and just not focusing in on one thing for a while and kind of just mastering something. And that could be even mastering why our brain keeps doing what it keeps doing, because it's controlling every movement you make, obviously every action you take. And the action that you're taking isn't usually working for you. Why is that? Why do we keep doing the same thing over and over again, like insanity, and we never get a different result, right? Why is that? Were we programmed that way? Are we not smart? Because I think a lot of us know we keep doing it, like we are on a kind of a conveyor belt in life. It's very boring, I always said, life for the most part. How much, how would I say this? How many unbelievable things have happened in your life? How many great days have you really had that were like, oh my God, this is amazing? And a lot of those days they were kind of prepared for you. So you're getting ready to go on a vacation. You had an amazing vacation that was kind of prepared for you. If you're getting married, that's probably a big day for you. Your daughter or son was being born. That's a day you knew that was kind of coming. But what types of days did you have like out of nowhere that were amazing, right? Probably not that many. And your life should actually be pretty amazing every day, because life in general is amazing. And if you start accomplishing, I said, the little things too in life are going to give you, I think, the huge thing. But we kind of want to jump from all of a sudden believing that we're going to be a millionaire, which is wonderful if you could believe that, and thinking that if we just believe that, that it's just going to happen. And if we walk around thinking, oh yeah, I'm a millionaire, and if I act like this and I behave like this, it's going to happen, it's probably not, right? You understand that. But if you take the action to really start figuring out your finances, how much money am I going to have to make per day to become a millionaire, or per week, or per month, right? Also, where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? How will I attract this money, and how will I also go after this money, right? Or how am I going to go after a product, or how am I going to go after something that I'm going to get what I want? Now, again, you could sit around and pray for it all day and pray for guidance. The truth is, you really have to educate yourself in what you want to become. And that can be anything. Because usually I think the small things are the ones that are kind of holding you back. It could be something as simple as saying, and I teach this in my program, you may be afraid to talk to certain people, or you just may be lazy. You just don't want to acknowledge it, or you just might, it could be many different things. I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, please, if you love the law of attraction, kind of like I do, make it work for you. Don't make it work kind of against you. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They've kind of, they have a mindset or thinking it's a certain way, or if I do certain things, it's going to definitely work out for me. It probably may feel like it does, but take a step back after 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5 years. You may be feeling better, which is the key, I think, to everything. But that still doesn't always lead you to where you want to be, if that makes sense. Now, if your goal is just to feel better and value yourself, that's wonderful. That's great. But I'm talking about people that truly want to maybe have other things in their life, because a lot of the people, as you know, teaching the law of attraction things are pretty successful at teaching it. So they've kind of found their calling, and they're making a lot of money, some of these people, telling you kind of how to, it's a form of a religion, I mean, to a certain degree, but they're teaching you how it works for them. But the trick is, you're probably not going to be teaching it, so you don't make an income like they are off of it, obviously, right? So you have to figure out in your law of attraction ways, or whatever you want to call it, how are you going to make money off of it, or how am I going to utilize this to your advantage? Now, they've obviously found something, and regardless if they're right or wrong, they still get paid, right? They do seminars, they do podcasts, They do public speaking gigs, like seminars. They do TV shows. They do all these different things, right? And good things and bad things, I can assure you, come into their life constantly. They're not going to talk about them, but I promise you, I don't care who you are, you're not ducking. Nobody dodges all the bullets. Everyone's going to deal with death, sickness in their life, financial issues, ups and downs, all those things. You can't control every aspect of your life, and they can't control their kids. They can't control their grandkids. So everybody deals with chaos in one way or another, okay? So regardless if you believe in the law of attraction, you're not going to dodge all those things. How you handle those things is really, I think, is what makes you who you are. And that's a whole nother subject. But again, back to the law of attraction, you need to make it work for you specifically. Don't get caught up in what it's done for everybody else, and figure out a pattern or a way to live your life where you start getting what you want, and pay attention to the signs and kind of just follow your instincts, but be honest with yourself. Stop lying to yourself and stop thinking that things are just going to come your way automatically. I mean, I wish you all the luck in the world, and we do hear all those things that are great. It kind of reminds me of like people that sell real estate or homes. They're like, oh my God, the guy brought a home for 130 grand, and in 6 months or a year, he doubled his money. Well, the truth is most people that go to sell their home aren't making as much money as they thought they would. And it usually doesn't pan out the way you think it does. And it could be the same way with you hearing all these different stories about people that believed in themselves, and this happened and that happened. That's great. That's 1% usually. Most people have to struggle to get what they want. And they fought through the trenches to get what they want. And they had to go over all these barriers to get what they want. Now, if something goes your way, it's like you get very lucky, God bless. But you can't depend on that happening. You can't depend on you winning the lottery because you believe in the law of attraction. And those type of things, you have to a certain degree, be a realist. And if that happens along the way, unbelievable for you. But most of the time, that's not what's going to happen. So, at least from what I've seen. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. I wish you nothing but the best. If you get a chance, check out my YouTube videos. I also have a program, Mastering Self-Confidence, the blueprint to helping men find a woman of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, and other places as well. All right, take care.